So welcome to the Board of Selectmen's October 9th. I can't believe it's October 9th already. Meeting. This meeting is being held remotely in accordance with Massachusetts general law. We are holding this meeting utilizing the Zoom webinar technology. That means if you would like to make a comment in the public session, please use the raise your hand feature and we will then recognize you. So before we begin the meeting, I'm going to take a roll call vote. I, Robin Hunter, present.
Dave Haviland, present.
Cam Hudson, present.
And now I will open things up to public comments. So again, if you have a comment you would like to make, please use the raise your hand feature and that will allow us to give you permission to talk.
I don't see anyone other than us on the call and
The cemetery, Rusty.
I missed
Yeah,
Rusty?
under attendees.
Yeah, and they're here for the first item.
Right.
Oh, there is Rusty. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to assume there are no citizens' comments, and then I'm going to move us along to the first item on our agenda. And that item is a discussion and vote regarding the request from the Cemetery Commission to utilize Chickering funds to purchase 4 columbarium benches. And I looked at the pictures, they look really nice. So I believe the Cemetery Commission, the Mariah Reese and member Fred Sears will make a presentation.
So Chris, if you haven't yet, you can move Rusty in.
Right. Do they know they need to accept?
Yeah, for the cemetery, you should see a pop-up that you're invited to be a panelist. You just want to accept that.
Yeah, so whoever, if it's Rusty, he just declined, but I'll try it one more time. Rusty, you want to accept to be promoted to a panelist? There we go.
And then you just need to turn on your video and audio on the bottom left.
There we
There
go.
we go.
They're all together. Welcome.
Sorry about that.
We're very invested. So I don't know if you heard anything I said earlier. So I'm Mariah.
No, we did not.
Okay, hello.
Hi, Mariah. Welcome to our meeting.
Yes, I see familiar faces there from all the town meetings. So these are my partners in crime here also, Fred Sears and Rusty, as you know. We have just completed the building of the columbarium, and the first question is, what the heck is that? So it is.
Thank you.
You're not alone at all. But this is really the direction cemeteries are going in that 80% of our burials are cremations. And
okay.
as we started looking at, the future use of the cemetery and how to build out this land, we really confronted, we're doing 30, 40 burials a year. And we need to start clear cutting and planning. And with obviously a columbarium as an option, we've spent the last year researching and then everything in between to finally get this done this summer. And we just had our first burial last Friday. So that was very exciting for us because, as you know, you think it's going to go one way and then you've got 15 more steps that you didn't imagine. And I am end-of-life doula, and I'm a grief counselor. I'm not a mausoleum builder, so it's been a great journey, really, though. And what we really would love to ask you all to vote yes for is some use of some funds from the Chickering Fund. This project ran higher than we thought because, and I was pretty much the front runner of it, and I didn't realize that there was this thing called prevailing wage. So, as you might imagine, putting it all.
Welcome to municipal
Yeah.
work.
So that I had one bid for, X dollars, and then I learned of prevailing wage, and it changed the whole scope of the project in terms of finances. But the good news is we've really done it, I think very frugally. I think we all put the plants in together. and now we just don't want to tap into our perpetual care fund anymore. And if we could possibly get funding for these benches. Just say a little bit about the benches. They are expensive, relative to another type of bench you could get at Home Depot or even online. This is a very special bench in that it takes into account the population we're serving. So if you would imagine the columbarium, it's a large patio and people are standing there for a service. We have people who will need to sit down and they need a back and they need to feel comfortable and they need not to be distracted by, some of us, our old bones, having to adjust while we sit for a service. We also thought having 4 that were 6 feet would give, it's not just token seating, it's really a reflection of us as a town really respecting this time of life and this time of life ending and this time, very important time of life for a family. So these are plastic benches. The company has been in operation for many decades. Even the staff I've spoken to, they're working 10, 15, 20 years for the company. The benches, they're guaranteed for 50 years. So there's no asking Park and Rec or DPW to sand and to varnish and to update them and have them look better. They'll hold their own. Also, in keeping with our budget, we had to use a stone that's a little bit thinner than maybe we would have liked. And to put many of these benches, you've got to anchor them. These, you have the option of anchoring if at some point we wanted to do something additional, which would be more money to anchor them, but they look fine and they're nice and durable and heavy to be as is for now. And maybe forever, they don't need to be anchored. If you go over to the columbarium, just the idea of 4, you'll see your seating is not an afterthought. It's really part of what we've created here for people to look and go, oh, good, this is very nice. I called the company this week and told them that we were going to be meeting, and they took another $230 off the price of the bench. In that estimate, we could also take off another $90 because we have a piece of equipment that can take the units off of a truck as opposed to having that company do it for us. So we're really looking at $59.08 as a final number. Any questions?
Robin, would you like me to go or do you want to start?
Well, as a matter of fact, Dave, I was going to ask you because I know you are the most familiar of us on the uses from the Chickering funds, and I believe this is one of the approved uses. So I thought it would be a good reminder about the fund and what it's meant to provide.
Yes.
Besides that, it'll be an education for me.
Okay.
Well, basically, if I get the facts right, back in 1917, one of the Chickerings, I guess it's George, but I'm not positive,
Okay, we
left
won't
the
hold you
town.
to that.
Yes, left the town a sum of money, and a bank is a local bank, or no, it's not a local bank. That bank was bought like 5 or 6 times. And in any event, we are the beneficiaries as a town for certain uses. And certainly this falls within the scope of what those uses are. So that to me is not only allowable, but it appears to be exactly the purpose of what the Chickering gift was. I've got a different question, which is on one of the pictures of the benches, they had, I'm going to just use the word
Inscriptions?
engraved. Yeah. And so I wanted to ask what the cemetery's policy would be for either memoriams or is anything going to be on the back of the benches? And if so, what is the policy to get them there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, we don't want to have any inscriptions on the back of
Okay,
it.
that's the best answer and the shortest answer you could give. So yay.
I do think at some point we'd like to be able to allow people to donate plants, but that's another whole other project to kind of get that through.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
but for the
and
benches, you don't
No.
plan on putting anything on there.
Simple and elegant is what we're looking at.
And then if you do need to anchor the benches, because now I'm worried about unauthorized movement of the benches. Um, Rusty, you feel that you can keep them secure there without issue?
Uh, the anchor, I've never seen one before.
so Dave, based upon the description, I think these would be pretty difficult to move. But then again, nothing's impossible. So having not seen them, but they seem very sturdy and large. And I believe Mariah said that you need a special piece of equipment even to take them off the delivery vehicle.
So they're heavy. I just want to
Yeah,
make sure that if you deem that they need to be anchored for security purposes, then I would suggest that you move ahead with getting that done as well. But if you don't want to move them for flexibility or just you're not sure yet, that makes a pile of sense to me as well.
Dave, do you think that we should be asking, is it one of your questions, if we decide to anchor them, would we ask for more funds from Chickering Fund? I'm just a little concerned with our perpetual care and being, very kind of tight on that.
My
right.
my sole single opinion is yes, I would come back to the Chickering Fund and ask for supplemental.
Okay,
And
I'm
I
perfect.
not
guess the
speaking
concern
for
is that
Pam and
it's
Robin, but
probably,
that's what I would do.
yeah, and I guess the concern is that it's probably cheaper to have them firmly connected to the earth and not have them stolen, because if they do get stolen, then it's a bigger expense.
The good news is that it's going to be about a 5 to 6 week delivery time. So when they come, we're not going to be in a rush. We'll probably put one together and kind of see how it sits, because we probably wouldn't put them out for the winter. It's not likely we would be having
Okay.
burials in the winter, but those are just thoughts right now at the top of my head. So I think that we have this encouragement that we could come back to you all and that we can
Right.
be actively looking at the right decision is good.
Right. So I would see when you put the first bench together, how heavy is it? How likely, because it is cast aluminum, how likely is it that somebody could move it? Not even somebody moving it, how likely is it that if we get extremely bad weather, like high winds, would they get damaged and be moved? And I think the answer to that is very unlikely, but then again, I don't know. And then I would also figure out what the costs would be to permanently secure them. It may be something that even we can do ourselves. So I would get an answer to that as well.
Sure. Got it.
But don't be shy about doing this really well, because we agree with your whole premise that it's very important. It's a reflection on the cemetery and the town.
Thank you.
Right. So Cam, do you have any questions?
No, I don't, Robin.
Okay. So then what I'll do is I'll make a motion, and Mariah, feel free once they come and you've looked at them, if you want a second opinion, I'm sure somebody else will let you know if they're sturdy enough. Don't ask me because I'm not qualified, but maybe somebody else is. Um, and you know, if you could just let us know where you end up, if you think you need them um permanently secured or not. And I'm sure, you know, we could figure out if it's something we can do in the townhouse or if we need special expertise for that.
Perfect.
So I'm going to move to approve the cemetery commission request to use Chickering funds in the amount of, and I'm going to keep it at the $6,229.13. So not to exceed this amount, to support the purchase of 4 benches to be placed near the
Columbarium.
columbarium,
Call,
columbarium and garden.
I will second that.
All in favor? I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
Hi, Cam Hudson.
great. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your support. This was really easy. Really, really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for doing it.
Yeah, contrary to popular belief, where if you present us with all the facts, it's
Okay.
easy for us to approve. So thank you for presenting
by.
us with all the facts.
Go by and take a look. You might want to make a purchase.
Actually, it fits in with my end of life plan. So I was just thinking that. So
We already own our
one.
second property in the cemetery. It's Kate and I's big joke. We have two plots in Dover.
Very quiet place.
right.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. So the next item of business is a discussion and vote of professional service agreement with Barrett Planning Group for Dover's housing development study and plan. And just as a reminder, 2 or 3 years ago, the Dover Housing Task Force was established. And the goal of that task force was first to, you know, understand 40B and how it worked, to put together tasks lists and checklists to ensure that we never missed any of the requirements. And then ultimately, phase 2 was to go out to bid, hire a consultant who would help us design a housing study and plan so that we could present to the town of Dover some alternative ways to develop large parcels of land that would provide us with diversification in our housing stock, but still maintain the rural character that's so important to the town. So the first time we went out for a proposal, we only got one proposal back. And it was really because most of these consultants were working on MBTA Communities Act, and the proposal we got back didn't really fit what we were trying to do as a committee. So we went back out to bid, and now with MBTA Communities behind us, we're going to make a presentation and recommendation to you on our selection of Barrett Planning Group. And I will just say that the proposals we got back, none of them hit everything we requested in the proposal. Every one had shortcomings, but we evaluated each of them. And as a town, we have worked with Judy Barrett of the Barrett Planning Group before. She understands the town of Dover. She's also done a very similar study to what we're asking for Wellesley. And at the end of the day, the Housing Task Force felt that she would be the best fit for this project. But I'm going to turn it over to Mike, who will give a few more specifics.
Thank you, Robin. I think you hit most of it. So just to add some specifics, so it was May of 24 where the selectmen brought forward a warrant article to town meeting for a special one-time project for this housing study that was approved. As Robin said, we went out to bid later that calendar year. I think it was October. We did get that one bid back, and as Robin said, we just didn't think it was the best interest of the town to evaluate only one bid. You want to compare proposals so that you can decide what's the best. So we did go back out. And I keep saying bid, and that's appropriate, but it's really an RFP. We did go back out this spring and summer. And I'm pleased to report we received 3 proposals back. How this worked in terms of a proposal, unlike oftentimes when you do like construction projects, like the community center, for example, you go up to bid and there's an obligation to accept the lowest responsible bidder. This RFP process was more qualitative. So we received proposals with the bids or the prices sealed separately. So members of the Housing Task Force reviewed the proposals independent of cost, ranked them based on some predetermined scoring metrics, and then totaled them. And we found one that's before you tonight at the highest cumulative score. We then opened the proposals and did find all of them were within our budget. I will say this was the highest bid in terms of dollar amount, but they were all pretty close. I think it ranged from in the 80s to $100,000. So, but again, the group felt that it was important to choose the right and best fit, not based on just the dollar amount. But again, even this as the highest bid at $100,000 was within the proposed approved budget by town meeting. So we're bringing that forward to you tonight, or today, I guess it's not tonight. In your packet is a copy of the proposal that was selected. Just for your edification, a copy of the RFP that was issued, and based on the scores that I received, I am now recommending to you that we award the contract to Barrett Planning Group to begin this very important housing process.
My only question that I have is based on one of Robin's comments, so either of you, and that is, you said that there's some missing scope. Is it worth asking them to add that work back into the scope? So the Housing Task Force gets, I'm going to just say, everything that it needs or desires. That might not be the right words, but you get the idea. In other words,
no, that's a great
110
question.
get it done.
I guess I'd like to append to that question. What exactly were the key things that were missing from this quote that you were hoping for?
Sure. So I think maybe we'll rephrase it. I don't think necessarily anything was missing. I think that none of the proposals necessarily had the detailed schedules and timelines we had hoped for. But again, so not anything was missing. We believe that all of the proposals would have provided the end product we were hoping for. The only option would be is if we wanted to reject all of the proposals and go back out. But we felt that given that we felt they were all not exactly what we had hoped in terms of detail, we reviewed them as a group, and again, this particular RFP response rose to the top.
Okay, you see where I'm going. I just want to make sure it's giving you everything you want. So I'm going the opposite direction.
It is giving us everything we want, and I didn't describe it correctly. I mean, it's just all the specifics weren't in the proposals that we got back. But for us, having worked with Judy with the Barrett Consulting Group before, we had the utmost confidence in the deliverables that they would provide and that they would adhere to the budgets and timelines as we got more into the project and understood what we were looking for.
If you the two of you are happy, I'm happy. I just wanted to make sure that you were going to get what you need.
And I'm happy too.
Okay, then we're all happy, and Mike's happy as well. So then I move to approve the professional service agreement between the town of Dover and Barrett Planning Group LLC for professional services related to a housing development study and plan.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Robin Hunter.
Why the pause? I, David Haviland.
Because I forgot my name. No.
And I, Cam Hudson.
I was trying to multitask and see who had to present the next section, and I was
Oh,
hoping it was you, and it was. So hence the pause.
All right.
So the next item of business is a discussion on the establishment of a permanent investment advisory committee. And I believe you touched on it briefly at our last meeting during the selectmen update. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yes, exactly. So now it's on the agenda and we can talk about it. So the short of it is we've had a working group established, and we've basically not been able to do much until Joanne got on board, got her feet on the ground, and now we've literally started and launched and have a lot to do. Joanne, in her experience in the two towns she's worked for, both had permanent advisory committees to the treasurer. And for just so everyone remembers, and for the public, the statutory responsibility for investing the town's funds rests solely with the treasurer. So it's her decision, but certainly, this town has a lot of financial experience and expertise, and if we can help her through advice and meeting, act as a sounding board, then we'd be happy to do it. So that's why the Joanne and I are recommending to the total board that we make this a permanent committee with the membership being one member of the Board of Selectmen, one member of the warrant committee, and one member of the public at large. And that coincidentally happens to be the way we're made up. But Joanne said it, and we looked at each other like, well, one selectman, one warrant committee, and one at large. So it's a great group, and we have a lot of work to do. And we just think it is best that we formalize, keep minutes, and then just really continue our work.
Well, for me, it seems like best practice, and the fact that Joanne asked for it makes a whole lot of sense to me to go ahead and do this. I think it protects her and it protects us and it protects the town. So I am very much in favor of establishing this as a permanent committee, especially given that the staff asked for it. So we're truly supporting them.
Yeah.
And I agree with you entirely, Robert. I think it's a good idea, and it anchors those financial decisions in the community as well, which I think is really helpful.
And also,
So-
it's going to keep the Board of Selectmen and the warrant committee completely apprised of what's going on, whereas there might be a time delay otherwise. So
Correct. Correct. So I'm going to move to approve the establishment of a permanent investment advisory committee.
do you
I'll,
wish
I'll
to
second
add
that.
the membership, or do you want to just establish the committee? Saying one member of the Board of Selectmen, one warrant committee, and one at large?
What do you think, Mike?
Um,
Because
so
because I'm assuming as part of establishing this committee, there's going to be like a mission and right.
yeah,
So there's going to be a
so
document outlining all of that.
right. So I think to make this formal. So I think this was, as Dave said, he brought it up last time, but you couldn't really discuss it. So we
Right.
wanted to make sure everyone's on board. And exactly, I think what we could do is work to put together like a charge or mission,
A charter.
and then yeah, charter, right? And then we could come back
Right.
to your next meeting and formally appoint. I assume the current members who have been serving at Dave's request now will make it a permanent Board of Selectmen committee, and we can formally appoint each of the members.
Perfect.
Right.
Thank you.
And figure out what the terms are. Make sure the terms are staggered so you're not always
Right.
trying to look for new members every year.
That's a
Or
good
maybe
point.
that doesn't matter. Maybe it's just a liaison type arrangement for Warrant and the Board of Selectmen. And then the member at large maybe has a term. But you can
Okay, yeah,
figure that
we can
out in
think
the
that through.
charter.
That's all in the
right?
That's right.
charter. So
That's right.
how about this? I'm just going to second Robin's motion.
Okay,
Perfect.
all in favor? Aye, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
I Cam Hudson.
Okay, excellent. So the next item of business is we seem like a standard item on our agenda, appointing individuals to boards and committees. So it's another appointment to a board and committee. And this is a request by our town clerk, Felicia Hoffman, to appoint Judith. Okay, now I'm going to butcher the last name. Elksnitis. Elksnitis to the Board of Registrars.
What is the U in parentheses after Judith's name?
I think it means undeclared as far as voting. That was my
Oh.
assumption.
Okay.
Was that a motion, Robin? I'm sorry.
No, I just I will make a motion now. I'm going to move to appoint Judith Elksnitis to the Board of Registrars for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
I Cam Hudson.
And just for the records, Judith has served in the town as an election worker over the past 3 years and has indicated her willingness to serve as a registrar. So we really appreciate that.
And
And
Rob,
I
just before we
presume
move
she's
on,
related in some manner to Eurus Elksnitis on the personal board.
I would think so.
yes, that's correct. And just I agree, unenrolled, I think is the appropriate.
Oh, unenrolled? Okay.
Well, no, but the point is that I quickly was able to look it up so that the
Oh, okay.
appointments are so that the two leading political parties shall have a member, and in no case shall an appointment be made so as to cause a board to have more than 2 members of the same political party.
Oh,
So
thank
yes,
you.
I
Okay.
think that was the point of that designation, so that
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
we're complying.
I stand educated. Thank you, Mike.
Me
Me too.
too.
Thank you for looking that up.
Yeah.
And the next item is Board of Selectmen updates. And that is on our, so first of,
Mhm. Go ahead.
oh, did I miss something?
No. The normal process I thought was town administrator updates that came for us. And I was thinking, what's going on? But you're absolutely right, according to the agenda, Robin.
Right, we're mixing things up. We're keeping us on our toes.
Yeah.
Unless you, right.
No, I think it's either way is fine. I think usually go first only because usually you steal my thunder and I don't have anything left to say.
Right. So Mike, what I'll do is, should we leave the update of fiscal year 26 goals and priorities to your section and does that make sense?
It's all up to you. I mean, the reason really it was on there is it was your
Request.
last in-person meeting. You formally approved them. So you in your packet is a cleaned up version with all the edits incorporated. So this is the final production that will be posted on the website and shared. And then I know many of our updates that we all give are related to these goals. So we just thought it was appropriate to include it here.
Okay, and I appreciate that. And I saw nothing on here that we hadn't agreed to. I don't know if anybody else.
No.
And I think it's great to post it on the website. And because I always have suggestions that are more work for you guys, I wonder if we should have a status column on the website, and when we've completed things, maybe say completed
Sure. Yep.
or 80% complete or something like that.
Great.
All right. And then I have a request to make. I am going to be in Europe on October 23rd, and it would be extremely helpful for me if we could change the time of the meeting and have another afternoon meeting. So any time after 3 would work really well for me.
Look at my calendar.
On the 23rd.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, starting at, 3 would be good.
I'm wide open, so 3 works for me.
Ditto.
That's
Mike?
great. Yep. Works perfect.
Good. All right, good. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate that.
So
So
it's
for
3
my
o'clock on the
on
23rd.
same, so it's Thursday the 23rd, 3 o'clock, and will be 9 o'clock, and it would work very well for me. So,
Good.
um, the next item on the agenda or is just regular updates. So I have one update, well, 2 updates. One, I attended the planning board meeting on Monday night, and I will tell you once again, I was so impressed with the work done by the town planner. The planning board approved 3 site plan reviews. There were no unanswered questions. The town planner had clearly worked with the applicants and their contractors. The meeting was done in 50 minutes. And
15 or 50?
50. You know,
That's
there was
still
3
amazing.
site plan reviews, so
Yeah,
you
I was gonna
still have
say.
to go through everything. But all the questions were answered ahead of time. It was just so efficient, and can't thank the planning board and the town planner enough for all the prep work that's being done ahead of these meetings, because there was a lot of concern in town about how long these site plan reviews take. And it just goes to show, when there's a process and we can adhere to the process, it does work very, very quickly. And I think the reason is that there's a lot of prep work before it even gets to the meeting. So there's a whole lot of communication between the town planner, the property owners, their contractors. It was just an absolute pleasure, because I was expecting a 2 to 3 hour meeting. And I will even say, there were abutters that had questions that attended the meeting. But then again, all the questions were answered.
Very
You know,
good.
that is great news, Robin. It
Yeah.
is on a whole host of levels, but it also, I'm not sure if answers is the right, but there was concerns at a previous town meeting, the annual town meeting, on some issues relating to this, and it sounds like the planning board and the whole process has been put into place that should alleviate, if not completely address, some of the concerns that were brought forth at town meeting. So that's great news.
Right. And in addition to that, just as was represented at town meeting and in other meetings, they are looking to see if they can simplify the process, if perhaps there are certain types of projects that don't really, it doesn't make sense to have site plan reviews anymore. And that's something, once they have a recommendation, they will bring to town meeting. And again, at the meeting, I also thank the planning board and the town planner, and we should thank everybody on this call too, all the staff, as to how well the MBTA Communities Act town meeting went. I mean, and the reason it was so successful was all the work that was done by everyone. Chris all that social media, all that information out there really, really helped. I think get the message across. The fact that we had 230 people at the meeting, I think was a tribute to all the outreach that was done. Was really
Indeed, I think it was
just
it set a,
tremendous.
yeah, it set a model for the way we can do these rather complex demands and make it very transparent to the town residents what is involved in it all. And I think the fact that we had so many people turning up really attests to that.
Right. So, Mike, thank you. You need to convey to your team how thankful we are, because it did. It took a village of people to get this done, and we couldn't have done it if it was if we didn't work as a team. So just tremendous effort to everybody. And I know the town clerk was relieved and thankful that she didn't have to plan another meeting.
Not just the town clerk, I'll have you know.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And then there is, I guess I'll make a plug now, but the planning board does have an associate position open, as well as a position open that they need to appoint somebody to. So they are looking for candidates. There's been quite a bit of outreach already. So if you know somebody that may be interested, please send them to either the town planner or Carol to learn more about those openings. Because I will tell you, these associate positions have really worked well for them. When people have stepped off, they can have people that immediately step on. And that is one committee where it's really helpful to have some experience. So to come on as an associate is a really great learning ground. So again, if you know anyone, send them to Carol or Melissa. And lastly, there was another email that we received from the library trustees regarding the AC or HVAC issues there. Yeah, Cam, as the capital liaison, maybe you could work with Mike and Carl, but I believe we are doing everything we possibly can. This is a priority for us as well. And I understand that patience is running out, but again, we have a process we need to adhere to. There's been a whole lot of extenuating circumstances that led to this, but we are doing everything we can to rectify the situation as quickly as possible.
Right, I fully agree with you there, Robin, and I've actually been talking to Mike about that as well. And I think we do need, I mean, I think it's somewhat embarrassing that it's taken us so long to get this done, and we need to prioritize it. And
Right.
Rob's commentary is clearly intended to encourage us in that direction. And I think it's a reasonable request.
Right. And I would hope that we would have prioritized it even without his urging, because we all recognize how important it is to rectify the situation.
We have been. I agree.
We can assure Rob that we are not going to have a repeat of the community center, which only took 25 years, nor the Chickering building project, which was the second longest project in the history of the Commonwealth. So
what are you saying? It will be done in 15 years?
I'm not saying anything other than it's not going to be 25 or longer. So
no, I think the issue is it has to go out to bid again, right, Mike? And
right.
It's just going to take time, and unfortunately, we can't really proceed until we've got some a bid that we've accepted, and then hopefully we'll proceed with great haste.
Right.
But I think we've got a little bit of egg on our face on that one.
No, I agree, but I just wanted to assure the Board of Library Trustees that we acknowledge where we are, and we are doing
Mhm.
everything we possibly can to
Right.
expedite this within the framework that we have to
Mhm.
work.
And I'll
Yes.
give Rob a call to assure him of that as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, good. Are you all set?
I am.
Okay, I've got three quick updates. One, sustainability met this week, and they are working on their pillars of sustainability, and hope to have that formalized. I also strongly encourage them, and they are going to proceed with picking off two low-hanging fruit items, which they came up with. I mean, they're fantastic, and that is coming up with a town-wide policy for plantings that go on the ground, whether it's a tree due to the stormwater bylaw, or if we're going to do new plantings around the community center, or whatever it is in the future, there should be an approved list of species to plant with a strong preference towards drought-resistant native species. So instead of just letting a landscaper put in a whole bunch of rhododendron and burning bush, which are not native and are not good for the environment, they're going to put together a lit. Well, the list is there. They're just going to put together a policy to bring to us. And then similarly, and Cam, I'm sure you know this more than anyone, the next one is the energy coaching program, which is writing the actual literature to hand out, not only for folks like the Council on Aging, but to be able to give to realtors. Chris, I know you're working on a packet to hand out to realtors. So there are lots of ways we can get this into the public's hands and make a immediate impact without heavy lifting on part of the town. So that's going well. Robin, thank you for that contact on the 3 to 5 committee. I did email them. I haven't heard back. If I actually
Okay.
get a minute where I'm going to be home, I will give them a call. And then the last.
When I spoke to him, he was extremely interested in being part of the committee. So
Terrific. Again, I sent an email,
okay.
and I have a whole bunch of unknown numbers that I've got to get back to. So maybe it was.
Okay, good.
And then the final one is I can't let the teaser just hang until our next meeting. So as part of
E-bikes.
Selectmen hours, the a citizen came up with a great idea. She was worried that in her neighborhood there are a lot of e-bikes, and I'm going to use the words motorized toys, regardless of how many wheels they have or what have you. And she says that she gets concerned because when she comes home at dusk and comes around a corner into her neighborhood, there are often lots of vehicles in the street that are actual toys with kids, and they're unsupervised. So I spoke with Chief Vinci, and he thought it'd be a great idea just to put together a kind of a public safety and awareness blurb to put in Chris and Suzanne's work and get that out there, and just try to educate and prevent a tragedy. So I thought the citizen's comment was excellent, and Joe's writing something up.
I completely agree, because in my neighborhood there's lots of kids, and I have never seen in my life so many motorized toys.
Yeah.
They have these skateboards, they have these scooters. You just stand on the scooter, it goes itself.
There's
And
one that's just a ball, and you do the
oh, I haven't
balancing, and if
seen
you
that
push
one.
down, the ball
Okay,
moves, and then if not, you want to brake, you lean back.
right.
But they have mini SUVs. They're
Yep,
Jeeps,
I've seen those, right.
and they're driving all around. Well, they don't have headlights. They don't have brake lights. There's no
Right.
safety equipment. And so if you're operating a motor vehicle and it's unfortunately, the light is leaving us a couple of minutes a day, and so it's just a good safety reminder, and that's all the suggestion was.
No, I think it's an excellent safety reminder because it is starting to get dark earlier, and you need to understand that when you're on one of these cars and somebody's driving, it's really hard to see people. Even walkers, it's hard to see people walking their dogs as it starts, especially when everyone's wearing black pants and black coats.
Right. So please either have a flashlight or some kind of
Or
bright
reflectors or something,
reflective
right?
clothing. So yeah, that's what that was about. I don't, did I touch on everything, Mike?
I think so, yeah.
Um,
I'm
and
I'm just disappointed that it wasn't a proposal to give us give the selectmen e-bikes so we could cycle to the town hall for meetings.
Right. When we have the rail trail, that's what we'll do. Our office hours.
floating office hours, I like it.
Right.
So,
Literally.
so then the only other one is it's not really an update, but more of a question, and that is when we're asked to approve warrants, it seems to be kind of a free-for-all, and meaning Jared puts out, let's go approve it, and then the three of us, I don't know, I'm going to use the word race to approve them. I just want to make sure that there's nothing that we're supposed to be doing or not supposed to be doing as part of that process. And I don't need an immediate answer today, but it just might be worth, Chris, if you could come up with what you would like, as part of that approval process, because I know that I was never given any information. It was just like, here's a warrant, go for it. So either Chris or Robin or someone with experience is looking for a little guidance.
Right, I think that's a great idea, Dave. And in fact, I've been to a couple of town meetings in the last week where there's a deal of uncertainty about when the warrants open, when they close, and I think at least providing that information to committees who are in the process of preparing for town meeting, that would be also very helpful.
So
Yeah,
so actually, Cam, you have reminded me of something I forgot to mention, and maybe I'll let
Okay.
Chris mention it, but he's going to address your concern. And I think David's concern is more about Jared's, the warrants that get sent out for approval so that checks
Oh,
can be
those
cut.
warrants. Oh, sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
okay.
confusing the
And
two.
that's fine. And my understanding is with respect to the payment approval warrants, that you really only need one member of the Board of Selectmen to approve them. And I believe it's usually the chair. And if the chair isn't around, then somebody else needs to approve it. But I could be completely wrong. So I'm going to have Chris answer it.
Yeah, I mean, also I'm new as well, so that was my assumption would
Right.
be to have the chair, and I believe that's how it was functioning prior.
Right.
However, I do realize that we want to have a moment and a pause for everybody to be able to take a look before we send stuff. So I can't come up with something on the spot, but I'll definitely think about how we balance everything and issue some guidance to everybody about what the expectations are. So but it's a
Right.
good point.
Right. But I think for transparency, especially now that all the invoices are attached, I really like that we can all see what bills are being paid, because sometimes you do have questions.
Exactly.
So I like that transparency. But
Yeah, I agree
everybody,
with
you
you,
don't have
Robin.
to race.
Right.
But
It's not a
going
race.
through 500
Right.
pages of documents
Right.
is somewhat of a challenge as well. The thing that I noticed from going through them is so how many repeated invoices we get from, for example, Eversource or
Right.
Amazon Business or Verizon, and I'm wondering if there's any benefits from trying to consolidate some of those, or whether my supposition is if we're buying electricity from Eversource, on 5 different accounts, maybe we can get a better rate if we consolidate them. But I just, that's an open question in my mind. I'm not suggesting anything there.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. So I don't think we've been entitled to a better rate, but it does seem not very efficient that we pay 10 different Amazon bills.
Exactly.
Or, you know, however,
Exactly.
the reason for that is these aren't just submitted to you having not been vetted. Each department receives their own bills. They verify that, yes, these are the items we ordered, these are items we received. Each department makes a determination of what account is paying for those. And so that's
Okay.
why it is, although it doesn't seem efficient, it is an
It
important
is.
step
It
that is
actually
verified
is.
at each
Right.
of those,
Fair
at
enough.
those levels, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
See, this is what happens when you're not involved in the daily operations. That
Yeah.
makes sense what you said, Mike.
Yeah.
Fair.
Indeed.
Good questions though.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
And along the final on that is on that large proposed payment to the federal government for excess interest earned. Joanne, Chris and I had a good meeting, and lots of educational questions were raised of Hilltop, and we'll get some more answers and get that out. The good news is that there's not a necessary time gun. That also can be pushed out. I think it was for another 18 months. The timeline is related to the bond issuance, not anything else. So we'll get some good answers there and find out if we can lower that or not. But it's certainly worth asking the questions.
Right, because I was trying to do the calculation. Like I realized it's the interest that you earned in your investment account over the rate that you're paying. That's the arbitrage. But yeah, so it makes sense that you would need to pay it. And there were a large amount of funds that we had prior to us expending them, but I could never back into the exact calculation. But that's what I figured it was trying to do, right?
Well, one of the questions that we have is the authorization for the community center, as you know better than anyone, Robin, came from multiple funding sources, including free cash. So if Hilltop only looks at their account and sees nothing coming out of it for, I'm going to make this up, the first 8 months because we took it out of free cash, and they don't know that we had another funding source and that we actually were spending down just out of a different funding
Okay.
source. So that's one of the
Okay,
areas
so
of
that's an
questioning.
excellent point. So then as an internal process, if we borrow money, we should use that money always first to pay things
That's what
off.
I learned. That's one of the
Right.
things to take away.
Okay. All right.
So again, all the people who
Live and learn, right?
oh yeah, exactly. We just need to learn, and that's what the Hilltop was very nice. Again, I said, please
Well, they
excuse
don't
the
know
ignorance and
either.
innocence of these
Right.
questions. So,
Right.
Chris, do you have
Okay.
anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some research primarily on the funding side. Looking back at past warrants and seeing what was authorized and where the source of funds was. I was able to track down some additional expense accounts for the design work that ultimately led
Excellent.
to the construction. So just working with Jared to parse through some of the accounting details in the accounts, but we're going to run that by Hilltop and see if that, those expenses can help us in any way. So once I hear back from them, I'll be reporting it to everybody.
Terrific. Well, thank you for following up.
Yep.
Is that everything, Dave?
Yes, thank you.
So I attended my first MBTA advisory board meeting the other day. And
Congratulations.
as expected, it was completely focused on the T and challenges that are much more related to urban cities and towns. So I wasn't surprised that these gateway communities like ours didn't get a lot of attention. However, I think I might have surprised people by actually turning up, because the very next day I get a letter from the MBTA advisory board administrators requesting, asking us if we would be open to having a meeting with representatives from the advisory board to talk about transport issues in the town. And so I think I shocked them in thinking that they're thinking, oh, there may be some issues that that don't just affect people who are on the T. So Mike and I have been discussing who might attend such a meeting. We were thinking Kevin from the Department of Public Works, and Carol Lisbon suggested that maybe Janet Claypole would be a good person to
Oh,
attend
that's
as
an
well,
excellent idea.
because they're dealing with transportation issues on a regular basis. I don't know whether we want somebody from the schools, but anyway, we're moving forward to work out how we deal with setting up a time for them to come. So the other issue that we're moving forward with is we're going to have a preliminary meeting to establish the sidewalk safety working group on 10/15. Basically come up with an approach to forming the group and identifying its participants, and then I hope we'll be able to move forward relatively quickly with some meetings to really define what the issues, how we address potential security issues for the safety of children in the town. So Mike is onto that as well. And I also attended an open space committee meeting for the first time as a liaison this week. It's interesting. This is an aspect of town administration that I'm not familiar with, and I'm quite happy to be able to dip my feet into that. And as I'm a devil for punishment, I also went to the Conservation Commission. And there's lots of parallels between both the memberships of those two groups, and I think they were both quite happy to have me there, and I will endeavour to attend those meetings regularly. Another sort of to follow up on both what Robin and Dave were saying about Chris and Suzanne's work on communications. The Open Space Committee was very impressed by the work you did to try and identify people to become members of the Open Space Committee. And the same issue was raised at the Concom as well, and they had great praise for the work that you guys are doing there. So I think that's good recognition of some progress in our communications front. Other than that, I don't really have much to report. Oh, what else? There was another issue. No, I'm
No
spacing
issues.
at the moment. Yeah, I'm spacing at the moment, so we'll pass on it. I should have taken better notes. So
All
that's
right,
all I
so
have to say.
then, thank you. So Mike, we'll turn it over to you, and hopefully you still have things to report.
I do. I think I have three that we didn't hit on. So
Okay.
one is just to let the board know, the Massachusetts Drought Management Task Force met yesterday. They meet once a month, and they voted to reaffirm and maintain our level 1 drought status in the Southeast region, which includes Dover. So, just status quo in terms of our drought. So we'll continue to leave our signs up. And should we get reports of people not following the water restrictions, we then respond and try to educate and get people to comply. The other related to
So
water.
I think we're supposed to get 5 inches of rain next week.
I think that's right, which would be great.
Right.
Most of the state maintained. I will say though, I believe Nantucket increased to a level 3. So it's overall there's definitely a drought, but yes, every bit of rain would certainly be helpful. So.
Mike,
Um,
along those lines, someone came up with a suggestion, and I'm trying to remember who it was so I can give them credit. So bear with me. I can't, but and that was in terms of enforcement, which really at this stage is more educational, is to give or create postcards that the DPW, as they're driving around, could just drop in a mailbox and just
If you have a
saying,
green lawn,
yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll leave that to them. But you see the idea of just having everyone have 10 of them in their car or truck, and if they drive around and see someone watering, put it in their mailbox, allow that person to be immediately educated. And yes, we saw you watering your lawn, and we're in a drought. Please don't do it. The only other way I can think of it is the signs say, I think it's unnecessary outside watering. Should we define that?
Yeah, because a lot of people are actually watering lawns at the moment because they've aerated and reseeded their grasses, and in order for the seeding to take place, they need some water on them. So I'm not sure whether that's necessary or not. So that's one of the vague areas that we need to get our arms around. I agree with you, Dave.
Yeah,
Well, Mike,
I can take a look at the exact sign language. I believe, I mean, the signs are made when this bylaw first passed, and I think the intention was to capture a few different scenarios as opposed to having, signs for every specific. But we can take a look at that. And then I think, the postcards certainly are a great idea. I know historically the direction that the town gave when the bylaw was passed is they were not looking for any sort of active enforcement. It was
right?
simply just only when it was reported. But I think what you're suggesting is kind of in between, right? It's not walking around handing out fines, but some piece of education. So,
Right. It's just
certainly
a
while
reminder. Right.
yeah, right, exactly. So certainly acknowledging, we don't have the ability for staff to drive around looking. However, should they notice it, that's something we could certainly look at.
Mhm.
That's only what I was suggesting. I thought it was a good idea that if, they drive by and it's like, all right, I don't have time to stop in and talk to the people because I've got another job I have to do, but I can drop a card in the post in their mailbox.
You
Understood.
know, I'm surprised the number of people who've mentioned to me the watering of the community center lawn, and of course, every time it's raised to me, I tell them that this is water that we're brought in from outside. But there is a sense that it's a bad look if we're sort of promoting our own lawns, even with outside water, but telling other people not to do it. So
Right.
it's
Well, it was 20,000 grants, so
yeah.
Yeah, we did, Cam, I appreciate that. We did try, and perhaps we could do
right.
a.
I
I
know
don't,
you
I don't
did.
know what the
I know
watering
you did,
schedule
Mike.
is. We could do another push though. If like, I'll be honest, I'm not sure if they're still active water. I think so, but we could do another push of that information because I agree. We did get
Yeah,
a fair number of inquiries about the same. I think once people learned, or most people, once they
yeah,
understood what we were doing, they were okay. But I agree, it's a little
yeah.
awkward to drive by and see this beautiful green lawn when we're telling everybody else not to water.
Right. And Mike, just as a reminder, because I was involved in the bylaw, we basically communicated, and maybe it's just reminding townspeople that the signs mirrored the state guidance. So I don't think there
Correct.
was necessarily room on the sign, but we can't. So maybe each time we go into a drought, we just remind people what it means. You know,
Mhm.
Sure.
And I really do like this notion of us providing a more general
right,
guidance to Mike to update the town on changes of drought status rather than having to come to the Board of Selectmen
right,
to approve
right.
it. I think that's a great approach, and
Right.
maybe we should start to normalize that going forward.
No, that makes sense.
All right, Mike.
The other water related was just to keep the board apprised that Aquarian did go out over the last 2 weeks. I believe they finished up last week doing test well or two on the Ponzi land, as this board asked and requested they do. So that's been completed, and now we'll wait for them to, analyze the results. And I think they'll do water samples and all sorts of things. So just to let you know, that is, they did listen, they did move it forward, and I'll keep you updated.
That's great.
As we get more information on that. And then lastly, I just wanted to thank the Board of Health. They offered a flu clinic this past Friday here at the townhouse. I don't have exact numbers, but I think they had over 100 people register to get their flu shot. We're now usually not here on Fridays, happened to come in to do a little work, and while I was here, I got mine. So I selfishly am thankful that they offered the flu clinic. So it was a nice operation. I was in and out in about, I think, 3 minutes. So appreciate the reference on that.
Thank you. So then we're going to move, and Chris, why don't you tell Cam what we're working on with the warrant committee for the town warrants?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working with some members of the warrant committee to help them prepare the blue book throughout the course of the year. So trying to put together some supporting forms and documents to help things kind of progress ultimately into that final product. We are going to begin discussing making some design improvements, along with the blue book. But also we will be hopefully looking at soon, establishing a timeline for all the town meeting activity, which will include opening and closing of the warrant, which I think what we've learned from the communications effort with MBTA Communities Act is that we're going to try to take the same approach with a lot of the town meeting stuff this year as well, to make sure everybody's well informed about not only the key dates, but also maybe try to get a little better understanding and be aware of opportunities to engage with the process from a public standpoint. So we're heading into budget season, so we're gonna be turning our focus to town meeting in all things budget. So I think it's going to be good as we move along here.
Right. And once we had this timetable all set up, we'll publish it, and it was going to be a live document. So if things come up, we'll add it, but it will be a roadmap for future years so that everybody's aware of the deadlines.
That's terrific.
Yes, that'll be music to the ears of the warrant committee members, I'm sure.
Right.
And I guess on the other side of things, on the capital side, with the Collins Centre's work proceeding, my understanding is that Mike and Chris met with Barry last week, and I somehow missed out on going through my own stupidity. I apologize for that, but Mike brought me up to speed on where you're at on that, and I think it sounds like a really good process that's being developed there, and I'm sure that Barry is very eager to get the first proposals, but I fully endorse the notion of giving as complete a request as possible straight to Barry, rather than the traditional twos and fros that went on for an interminable amount of time in the past. So I think that's a really good development as well.
Me too. So the last item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and the consent agenda consists of the following items: a $500,000 grant from the Rural Development Fund for the Dedham Street Culvert Replacement Project, $25,000 for fiscal year emergency management dispatch grant for the police department 911 dispatch services, $22,498.80 fiscal year municipal road safety dispatch grant for funding police department traffic enforcement overtime shifts and purchase of traffic related equipment, $29,121 for fiscal year 26 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant for the Police Department purchase of tasers, to approve the donation of a battery powered chop saw for the fire department, approve Friday, October 31st, 2025, Halloween block party and road closure for Woodridge Road, Taylor Lane, and Pinewood Roads at the intersection of Taylor Lane and Valley Road, which has been approved by both the police and fire chiefs and the DPW director. To approve 2025 special one-day liquor licenses for October 17th, 25th, and another one on the 25th, and to approve May 23rd and June 5th, 2024 Board of Selectmen open meeting minutes.
Robin, before you finish, so that's your motion for the consent agenda. Before you
Right.
finish that, I would just ask if the board, when they make a second, it consider two things. One, actually just one thing. One is the October 25th one-day liquor license be subject to appropriate insurance documentation. One of the licenses is for an event at the community center. And
Okay.
in order to allow that, we do need appropriate insurance documentation. We just haven't received that yet. So we just want your approval contingent upon that, so that once we
Okay.
receive it, we can then approve the license.
Okay, so then I move to approve the consent agendas as edited with respect to the October 25th special one-day liquor license, which is pending appropriate paperwork, receipt of appropriate paperwork.
Second.
All in favor? I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
Cam Hudson.
All right.
Rob,
And with that,
before we wrap up,
okay.
I just wanted to say here, I know I shared with the board about the grant, $500,000 grant. We are going to be issuing a press release, but I just wanted to say, I don't know if anybody watches the long-running show NCIS. There used to be a character on there called Gibbs, and he has a number of rules, and rule number 39 is there's no such thing as coincidences. And all of these grant announcements came the week following our MBTA compliance vote. So just to reiterate to the public, and we'll do so in our press release, how thankful we are and how important that vote was, because these grants aren't possible without being in compliance. So this is just a real time.
Right, it's almost $600,000.
Correct. We weren't lying when we said there are potential consequences, and we're very fortunate that these all came through. And appreciate Kevin at DPW and Chief Incy and the police for applying for these grants.
Unless my math is completely wrong, which is entirely possible because I'm doing it off of memory, but I think this year we've gotten $3.5 million worth of grants.
For DPW projects, right?
Right. Well, and then the few here are not quite all DPW, but
right.
I mean, we were telling the town that it might be, it averaged $1 million, and this year it's already 3.5.
Yep.
That's kudos to everyone who has, are, and will write grants. So
it's interesting. I don't know whether you had a chance to look at that MMA article that Woody sent around this morning about financing municipal finances in the state. And the takeaway from that, from my reading, was that in fact state grants have been declining, or only, or at least maintaining at a stable level. They haven't been increasing, and the towns in general are being really squeezed because we're so constrained by Proposition 2.5 that there are very few sources of financing. So I think it's in that context, it's interesting that we're getting a pretty substantial amount of grants right now.
Right. So I have to go catch a train. So would you mind if I move to adjourn the meeting?
I don't know. What do you think, Cam? I will second that motion, Robin.
I suspect it's more bathroom related, but that's okay.
No, it isn't. All right. Thanks a lot.
Oh, you gotta vote.
Cam, are you all in favor? I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
I, Cam Hudson.
Thank you, everyone. See you in
Thank
2
you.
weeks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.
Goodbye.